Welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show. Right here on Black Liberation Media. In case you didn't know, I go by the name of the Ears Doctor, and we came here to bring you that boom to the bat breakfast right here, right now. So I hope y'all ready, and I hope y'all are ready to get this info we got for you. We about to drop it like it's hot. Now let's start off with the ladies on this Wednesday with Jackie, Lupa, and Cloud.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Yeah.
Yay, it's Cloud.
It's BAP Wednesday.
Look at that. Retitle Women's Wednesday to BAP Wednesday. I tell you.
I mean,
like it.
You know, we got to do what we got to do. We take over what we can.
That's right. That's right.
Black and Latino colonizers, boy. Still doing it.
What?
Oh, you ain't black now?
I'm questioning the colonizer part. What the
right.
Take over. You know, that's what I think when I hear colonize.
I'm pretty sure my indigenous roots were the first in the Americas.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Stolen from Africa, you know.
Right, exactly.
Didn't come to colonize. We probably wouldn't have come if we weren't forced.
But you know what? I'm glad we made it here, y'all. I mean, let's get real. If we have faith and we believe in a higher being, then everything that's aligned and put in place and where we are at right in this time is where we're supposed to be. That's faith, right? What? You don't believe that the Most High God or whatever put us in this position to do what we're supposed to be doing?
No.
So it was the devil.
No, it was human beings who did this. It was human beings who created the diaspora. It was human beings who carried out the Meafa. It was human beings. Stop blaming that stuff on God and talking about, everything happens for a reason. Everything doesn't happen. Well, you know what?
See?
Things do happen for reasons.
Yeah, they
because
do.
People are stupid. That's the reason. Because people are evil. That's the reason. Goodness. It's not God. It's because people are supposed to be doing the things that whatever higher being you believe in tells you to do as far as how to treat other people. But people are greedy and stupid and disobedient. That ain't God's fault. That's people.
Okay. Well, it wouldn't be a BAP Wednesday without the third musketeer.
The third musketeer. Oh, you are just...
What I do now?
She looks very concerned.
She looks so concerned. I cannot believe I walked in on this.
That hair is on fleek, though. I tell you that much.
It is.
That hair is on fleek.
I need to set my game up. Shit.
Yeah.
But that face is just like, what the hell?
I know.
That face
still ain't
like,
saying nothing. She froze.
No, that face is like, whatever's going on, stop it now.
Exactly. No, she's still judging. That's what's happening.
This judgy face.
Somebody has to do it. You're this first thing this morning.
Hey, Cloud, you're gonna have to step your hair game up with these two, boy.
They
are coming in strong.
I reckon.
Coming in strong. Listen, that was a compliment, ladies. I'm sorry.
No, I know.
I don't know how to give them. But welcome.
Hello, welcome.
All right.
already starting trouble already.
Hey, before y'all got on, me and Cloud was over here talking about a big celebration in New York. What was going on up there, Cloud?
Yes, the West Indian Day Parade took over
First Labor
Parkway.
Day.
That's right. I landed back last week, and the first thing I went to was the Carnival in Brooklyn.
Carnival. It's not Brazilian.
Oh, they're going to colonizing again. They taking over. They taking over. Well, how do you pronounce it again, Cloud?
Sorry, Miss Brownsville. How do you say it?
Call her a colonizer. She Trini.
To the bone.
What is going on this morning?
How did you colonizers pronounce it again?
Right, it's different, right? Brazil does what? Carnival or whatever. That's not Carnival.
Yeah,
it's Carnival and a Carnival. Two different things.
Carnival. And Bolivia is La Diablada. Puno is Candelaria. They all have different ones.
Huh. Yeah, and everything
actually Peru has Carnival all year round. Each department has a different month. So we're just partying all the time.
Dang.
All right. Afro-Americans is called the Juneteenth.
No.
But what?
No.
Oh boy.
No.
Oh boy.
Don't do that.
Dear God.
No.
Oh.
Also,
and we need a parade.
Harriet, I'm sorry. I didn't.
We need a parade.
No, we don't. We good. We're good.
Yeah, but it's also not a parade.
Okay, explain. What is it?
Carnival's not a parade. Like Carnival's a whole. That's why I said like it's one. There's multiple ones, right? So there's Crop Over. There's Notting Hill that just did one. Haiti has its own thing. Grenada has Jab Jab. There's multiple different ones. But at least in terms of Trinidad and Tobago, which is the greatest show on earth, thank you. That is a whole week-long celebration that starts after Lent. So when Lent is over, you have the week long. So that goes on. You have the stick fighting days. You have competition. Like it's a historical thing. So that's mass. It's not a parade. It's a masquerade. You have the trucks. You have the costumes. You have feather and
your accent is coming out.
You hear it? Do you hear
that accent coming out?
And then when Lent is over, and then you have the feathers, and then you have.
Is that Elsa? I hear Elsa.
Up here, code switching.
It's beautiful, though. I love it.
It's so good. I love it.
Usually after Juve.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me.
All right. So
we don't have those kinds of things in DC.
They used to. Georgia Avenue to have it, and now it happens in Baltimore. But you're in luck because there's a mayor running to bring Carnival back to Georgia Avenue. Nothing else. But we can get Carnival back on Georgia Avenue.
Oh wow!
Well,
that's the liberation. We're done.
Say, that's
got the turning vote. I'll tell you that.
So Cloud, where's the dish from where you're from? What's the dish? Like when I think of Trinidad, I think of rotis and stuff.
There's so many. Oh my God, yeah. Peru is known for its cuisine. Probably ceviche or pollo a la brasa. Our rotisserie chicken is bar none. Honestly, it's the fucking best. Truly.
Y'all just got great fire or something?
It's like street meat. Like they make it on the street.
Yeah,
I heard that. It's
great fire.
So good.
I mean, so what makes a rotisserie chicken better than somebody else? It's always the season, though, right?
It's the seasoning.
Yeah, it's like what season separates y'all's?
I'm not giving the secrets.
I mean, we know like a curry for a certain, because I would think Trinidadians have a lot of Indians.
Real curry, yes.
Yeah.
It's the sauce. It's the ají amarillo sauce that comes with it. It's yellow pepper. But in the U.S., because there's no yellow pepper that's grown here, that's only grown in South America, Peruvian diaspora sort of tweaked it and uses jalapeno instead. That's why you get the green sauce.
Oh.
But the green sauce isn't in Peru. We don't use that. We don't have jalapeno in Peru because it doesn't grow there.
Really?
Yeah. So the green sauce is a Peruvian diaspora specific thing.
Interesting.
Well, what's the main sauce in Brooklyn? Maybe I should ask. Come out, Franklin.
You know what I'm saying? Thank you. Yo, look, it's 2 for 1. Oh my God. Erica Kane said it. Oh, cool. How? When? I didn't understand that was happening.
Yeah.
Are we talking about coca
Y'all
let's not talk
hold
about
on.
that.
Let me explain.
Let's not talk about that.
Oh, I thought we were talking about coca
Karen Huger is free. Cardi B is not guilty. I feel like it's the day for the bad bitches. I feel
What? I'm confused. What did I miss? What?
Cardi.
They let her out. She's free.
What? I'm missing all of
DUIs. 3 or 4.
3 or 4 DUIs.
Ain't nobody died.
There is justice in America.
It's home, honey.
She is home.
One black person did get justice in the American courts. Cardi B.
Cardi B.
Yes.
Brooklyn, boogie down, stand up. Hey, yo, I was thinking you can hang out for about an hour, come out, and let this be Women's Wednesday. What you think?
I can leave now, actually.
Wow.
I got things to do.
What are we doing?
My job is done.
I'm trying to liberate the screen for y'all ladies, but
True. After my smashing multi-million-dollar deal that brought us talent.
Multi-million dollar.
You know what I'm saying? Don't be Michael Jordan. That's it.
My refurbished iPhone.
My job is done.
Nice.
The new Michael Jordan, not Ralph Sampson. Michael Jordan. That's what we're asking.
Why is this shade-a-thon at 8:12 in the morning? Good grief! What did Sampson ever do to you?
Ralph Sampson?
What did he ever do to you?
Am I correct here? Right? It was Doc. You remember? So Jordan was the number 2 pick, and the number 1 pick that year was Ralph Sampson.
Yes, true.
He turned out to be garbage as an NBA.
I mean, okay, but
I'm just saying.
Yeah, he did.
We don't want a Ralph Sampson. We want a Michael Jordan. More Coca Leaf stories. That's all I care about is more Coca Leaf stories. That's all I want.
So,
Yeah, like let's not.
No, let us not.
Coca Leaf stories.
Let's not
No
talk
more.
about Coca Leaf story. Because then we have to talk about Gummy's story, and we can't do that. We're not.
My bad.
We cannot do that.
I already heard it.
We want to keep getting invited to places. Don't. Shh.
My bad.
all right, it's a lot of Negroes on the screen. I'm getting negrophobia. So let's go ahead and take a break, and then we're going to come back.
Bye. Go ahead.
Get some space up.
Go ahead.
I know you ain't talking. We're going to take a quick break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Yes. Time for a remix on the remix. Y'all ready?
Flowers bloom in morning dew, and the beauty seems to say it's a pleasure when you treasure all that's new and true and gay. Easy living, and we're giving what we know we're dreaming of. We are one, having fun, walking in the glow of love.
Wine in a circle, wine in a circle, wine in a circle. Show them on your sweetest wine.
All right, let me take you to a time and place. Let me take you back to 1980 with a group called Change with my boy Luther. That's right, off the album The Glow of Love, and the name of that song is The Glow of Love, mixed with a little bit of 2021 off the Serious Soca Jams Volume 2 album. We talk about Allison Hines with a bit of Square One. Moshed up for you and yours right here on the Remix Morning Show. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go to patreon.com, become a member over there, get footage that's rare. And donate where? blkliberationmedia.org. Yes, show your love. Go get you some merch. Rock it out. And let you know that we are demonetized, so that would very much help keep us doing what we're doing for you and yours. All right, with that said, let's get back to it. Right here on the Remix Morning Show, so I can hear Ricky tell me that wasn't the right thing. All right, let's go.
Show them on your sweetest wine. Wine in a circle, wine in a circle, wine in a circle.
That was nice. Didn't y'all like that, Ricky?
I liked it. But I'm not the expert.
I was gonna say, who's the expert?
But I think she's frozen on screen, so she has to. So no matter what, she likes it. Holla.
Oh my God.
We got.
I hear her speaking. She said, "Oh, that was the best mix ever."
No. We got to work on her Ethernet. We got to get her Ethernet wire. This is ridiculous.
You said this is ridiculous. I removed her until she becomes more stable.
All right, cool. Well, get to doing what y'all do best, yapping.
More talking.
Catch y'all later.
Yeah. Ooh, yapping. What is wrong with you this morning?
Who, the doc? I know. What is wrong with him?
He's just really persnickety and curmudgeon-y, and I don't know.
Isn't that every day though? This is life.
A little extra. Just,
I think it's a constant.
Just maybe.
What couch are you on, Cloud? What is this couch thing?
Yeah, so I'm in Jersey. I'm at my mom's right now. I'm not like at a desk. So I'm literally just sitting on the floor.
Okay, I'm down with it. I'm down with it.
Jersey.
Okay. Jersey. What part of Jersey?
Kearney. It's right outside of Newark.
Okay.
My hometown, my very small hometown's claim to fame is that The Sopranos was filmed here.
Oh,
and that was actually, it really was a documentary of growing up in North Jersey, like straight up. That's exactly what it was like. Yeah.
So would you see them around?
Yeah, actually, one of my gym teachers was an extra on the show.
Oh, hilarious!
Wow.
Yeah. I used to row in high school. I used to do crew on the Passaic River, which not a great river.
I was about to say, how'd you? Nothing came and got y'all. Nothing.
Well, yes.
No bodies came by. Where bodies?
I was gonna say we literally had to cancel practice one day because one of my rowers, her oar literally got stuck on something, and then we found out it was a dead body. Yeah.
Jersey.
When life validates the jokes.
No, I know. Literally, I was like, "Yep, had to be."
You was in high school?
Yes.
I know it's not hilarious, but that is fucking hilarious.
No, it is hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious.
They had to cancel rowing practice because there was a dead body in the water.
Probably came from somewhere in New York. Who are you talking about?
No, it's true. That's true. That could have been anywhere in the tri-state area, depending.
No, literally.
That's what makes it such a gorgeous story. I was like, what?
I know. It was very, very typical of growing up in North Jersey.
Yeah, Abdus loved The Sopranos, and we drove through there one time because he had to show me all.
Of course.
He had to show me all of. See, look at this. Does this look familiar? I'm like, The actor says, sit there in the passenger seat and feign in excitement. Oh, wow.
I totally will give you a tour of
Sopranos. Please just leave this date, please.
No choice. And soon you'll be moving to where? You're going to be moving to?
Flatbush, going back to Flatbush.
Flatbush.
Ah.
The last place I lived in Brooklyn was Flatbush.
My favorite. It's my favorite neighborhood. I've lived
really
different places in New York, and it's definitely by far my favorite neighborhood.
What part? Not that you know. You don't know yet what part. You're still figuring that out, right?
Yeah, no. I have I'm subletting my apartment, but it's.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go back to my apartment at the end of November.
Yeah. I figured Flatbush is gonna be the hardest to gentrify. One of the hardest places. I don't know why we keep trying with Ricky Ryan. Every time she comes up, it's a frozen picture, B.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Until she gets it together.
What's wrong with you this morning?
What do you mean? I'm just saying it's the fourth time she popped up there and it's a frozen picture.
Oh, Mr. Kermit, there's way too much curmudgeon energy. Oh my God.
I'm a professional. I believe in that. Oh, there we go. Oh, wait a minute. Nope.
Nope. It's y'all.
Frozen
it's y'all. It's not me.
No,
it's us.
There you are.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all ready to get some news in? Y'all want to do some news?
Well, yes. Yeah. Well, two things. That was a terrible mix. Terrible. Okay, Allison Hines is the queen of soca. Have some freaking respect. That was terrible. That's one. And do you really think that Flatbush won't be gentrified? When's the last time you've been to Flatbush?
No. I said I thought it would be the last place that they would either
When the last time you've been to
Flatbush
Flatbush?
or East New York, where my things between the last two places that would be gentrified in Brooklyn. Not that they wouldn't get it, but it would take a minute to get it.
Yeah, no, it's going. Going. Yeah, it's
Like
definitely
a couple
going.
Haitian homeowners still holding it down.
No, for real.
And that's it.
It's very few, yeah.
They build in behind East New York in Brownsville. Like is a Target back there now? Like behind Linden Plaza.
Yeah.
They just put up houses and all that going to like the Brooklyn Queens. What's that? The Expressway to BQE. So going that way, it's all new homes. There's a Target.
That's crazy.
But yeah, but they won't touch the pink houses. They won't touch Linden Plaza. Like that's firm. That's not going nowhere.
and then they just build around it. Remember, like
around it.
In Fort Greene, they built around all the projects. All the projects were there, and they just built all the way around it. And the white folks got so comfortable they'd walk their dogs right in front of the projects.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
The Bronx is done too. Somebody say that's the last standing borough. Grand Concourse is all new buildings. All it's over.
It's gone.
And what they call it Harlem now? What's somebody said something weird.
Yeah, trying to give Harlem another name?
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm forgetting.
Was it NoHo?
No, yeah, something like
What's that? North of Houston? Is it Soho, south of Houston?
Yeah,
yes,
like
yes.
NoHo.
So NoHo?
No,
it's all the way.
It's all the way north, right? It's crazy.
No, I
no,
think
but they're trying to name it something else. I'm forgetting now. It's North something.
I think this is the point where we could learn some lessons from The Sopranos about how to handle these kinds of
Listen, then you wonder why I go to the global south and I say I brought the jersey to the Andes because, you know, sometimes bitches gotta be told to stop. I'm just saying. They got a little out of hand and they're like,
I mean, there's a way to there's a I'm just saying. I'm
also just saying.
Oh, NoHo. Somebody saying NoHo is not Harlem. I manifesto.
No,
Tell me, what is Harlem now, B?
Yeah, something.
I don't know.
All right, we'll figure that out. But in the meantime,
I mean, he's just.
I know.
I play chess. I'm just 2 steps ahead of y'all. That's all.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. Welcome to the Remix Morning Show. Thanks for sticking around with us, y'all. Cabal Franklin, Jackie Lukman, Erica Keynes, Cloud O'Brien, Moscoso. Woohoo! This is the news segment. So let's get to some news. What's going on in the world, y'all?
Okay. You brought up the West Indian Day Parade. You want to start with that, Cloud?
Well, Labor Day Parade.
Thank you.
Yes. Pardon.
Well, we're not supposed to call it the West Indian Day Parade?
It's Labor Day. Yeah, who say it but the news? Who calls it that?
In Brooklyn, when I grew up, nobody said Labor Day.
They've always called it that because I play mass every year. I'm like, who calls it the West Indian Parade?
Nobody called it. All of us who are not West Indians, we called it the West Indian Day Parade. I've never heard it called the Labor Day Parade. We didn't know that language.
Nobody even says parade. It's Labor Day. West
Indians come out their houses and take over Labor Day. It's the one time when all the Jews in Crown Heights stay inside.
It's actually very
when the parade.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've seen not one in sight.
That's true. It's true.
No, literally, not one.
Yeah.
Not one.
It's almost like there's a hurricane coming through. They take all the
they hunker down.
Yeah.
Board up the window.
They go high. Yeah, it's like, yo.
Yeah. They're like, oh, the Negroes.
Okay, anyway, so you want me to play the audio or this is just
sure,
basically
yeah. Yeah. The greatest show on earth, but well over 1 million people out there. like, look at all those heads.
All right, looks great.
Oh, stop it now, B. I'm about to stop it so that she can talk. What is wrong with you? Don't be overproducing. Jesus, you bring the show to a halt with your overproducing. Go ahead, Cloud. What did you have to say about it?
No, all good. But yeah, we were out there. A couple of folks from BAP were out there with one of our comrades who's here from Haiti, Ezaï, in Molegaf, one of our member organizations in Haiti. The video's not out yet, but I was there not just to hand out literature and talk to folks, but also to get some footage. So Bar and our editing team is putting together a nice little video on, just the weekend, and then also Ezaï giving an interview on the significance of seeing, especially coming from Haiti, all of this, unity, not just with Haitian folks, but throughout the Caribbean, and specifically, I think someone coming from a place that has been completely ravaged by U.S. imperialism and the paramilitary gangs that U.S. imperialism uses. It was really beautiful to see him also interacting in this way, where he was like, we can't do this back home anymore because we've been robbed of our peace from U.S. imperialism and the use of their paramilitary gangs, right? So that should be coming out soon, that video. But yeah, it was a really beautiful, beautiful time. We saw some of the comrades from Rassemblement as well. Yeah.
And I think you mentioned this in the chat. Also, at some point, the politicians used to stay away from, again, I'm going to refer to it as West Indian Parade. They didn't care about it. They didn't think about it. But then at some point, I don't know if it was Dinkins or some point.
It was Dinkins.
It was Dinkins.
Yeah.
Then it became a place where they started catching on. They were like, oh,
yep,
let's go there. Let's get our West Indian Day on for one day or whatever. And now all, like you said, Hakeem Jeffrey was there. Somebody mentioned that Schumer was there. And now, as they police it and still make sure it's off at 6, everybody got to be off the block at 6. No more late night parties.
Oh, yeah. No, I hopefully the footage will be in the video, but yeah, I caught video of them kettling everyone after, basically trying to move everyone off the street. And at one point they started sounding everyone get off the street, you will be arrested, blah, blah, blah.
It is, other than the Puerto Rican Day Parade, it might be the most heavily policed. I don't know, they might go back and forth. The most heavily policed parade. Yeah, the Irish, when the Irish have their day, they are
crazy.
Drunk till midnight, in bars, in cars, throwing up, walking the streets, no issues and no real issues whatsoever.
Right.
But when it comes to the Puerto Rican Day Parade and West Indian Day Parade, they out there in force.
So I grew up doing Labor Day. So my aunt for 40 years was in charge of Kidding Carnival that happens at the Botanical Gardens the Saturday before. My family is a part of the Utica Boys, which is one of the bands that plays out there. My uncle, who just recently passed, has been a mainstay for all the Juve activities between, he lived on Nostrand between Linden and Lenox. So when people come off the Parkway, they walk all the way down there. I have cousins that play pan. I've been playing Carnival since small. I did Juve with my dad when they used to let you sell liquor in the streets, and he had his big container, and I'd be sitting on the truck, and they would be walking through. So I can tell you what Labor Day is now and what Labor Day was is completely different, even to the point of used to be able to drink on the street. You can no longer drink on the street, those kind of things. But then even to the point of like West Indians as inherently violent, right? It always happens that during Juve, someone is shot or someone is killed, and that becomes the emphasis for why this should be shut down, right? But the people participating in that are, one, not West Indian that are doing that. So they're like using the parade or they're like joining in the parade to do whatever they want, and then this becomes a casting over the parade. When you say like you don't really see much Jewish people, that's because that Crown Heights area has already done the work to shut down the pan yards, so that like the practices couldn't happen. So they've already squeezed a lot of Flatbush into this one particular area where you can't have no noise beyond this area. You can't have no noise at Crown Heights beyond this area. So not seeing them does not mean they had not heavily regulated that.
Yeah.
Used to go, that parkway used to be the entire Eastern Parkway, all the way up to like what is that, Empire?
Yeah. Yep.
The entire thing. It gets shorter and shorter and shorter every year. Now you're shut off. Like before, they used to just let the trucks play the music into the yard as it's going. Now the trucks are shut off at 3, 4 o'clock. That's it. When they say shut it down, shut it down. So like what it is now and what it's been before is it's heavily regulated, heavily guarded. But yeah, I do remember seeing Dinkins out there. I do remember it was a big deal for my dad. Loved Dinkins, love Dinkins. So it was a big deal for I remember when he won, and I was on my dad's shoulder in Grand Army Plaza. For that speech. So like it was a big deal for him to see that. I've never seen Giuliani out there. I don't recall if Giuliani ever went out there. And really, I don't recall Hakeem Jeffries really ever being out there. I might have seen Meeks before. I might have seen, but they don't really interact. Like, they have it's a media spectacle kind of thing. And they're shaking their hands. It's like how the cops do. You'll see a cop catch a wine, and then that becomes like a viral thing. Oh, look, they wine. The cops like to wine. The cops like to fet. So like much of it is like propaganda and spectacle and all of that. But even in terms of like the unity, I'm always interested in how Carnival plays out, or any of these festivals play out here in the U.S. versus what's actually happening versus like a CARICOM or a state body.
Yeah.
Right? Especially currently. Because there is such a disconnect between the diaspora and what is actually happening in the Caribbean that, even Trinidad and Tobago's motto, and you hear that in the songs, together we aspire, together we achieve. Like all the we is one. That's always like the Carnival themes. Everybody is one. We don't see color. We embrace everybody. Unity. But that's not what it looks like in the actual Caribbean, especially when we look at places like Haiti and we look at Trinidad and Tobago's complicity currently and what's happening with Venezuela. And Guyana's also, right? So the Caribbean and these parades and these carnivals, they are not, there's like a strong juxtaposition here that they are not what we're seeing and what is actually happening. And I think it speaks to maybe the sort of gap politically, ideologically between the diaspora and what's materially happening in these countries.
Right. I mean, even the mentioning that Hakeem Jeffries was there, right? First of all, right, who was with Kamala, telling CARICOM, you need to be go in on the MSS mission, right? So the fact that he was out there, what does that look like for the Haitians that are now here because of what they are doing in Haiti, right? And you could say that about so many other places in the region.
All I know is that it was for a while my favorite. Everybody in the surrounding areas. Because I lived, when I really started to go, was Albany Projects, which was like 4 blocks from Eastern Parkway. And then you would always see the line of folks headed down there to again engage. It was always too crowded, like, you know what I mean? Like everybody's like whatever, but it's still like off to the side. Somebody had a house. They were cooking food. People would stop in. People, like you said, either giving or selling something. The bands and all that kind of stuff. It was always cool. Yeah. So shout out to the good parts that haven't been co-opted of the Labor Day parade. That was for you, Ricky. That was for you.
Not for me. It's for Brooklyn.
It's for Brooklyn.
What's left of Brooklyn? I got another story y'all want to bring up. I got a story.
We could talk about Venezuela, but I don't have a link.
I was just going to say.
Talk, Jackie, I didn't know. Jackie also said she had a story. So I can find a link if Jackie had a story.
For Venezuela, I have links, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, really quickly, because, this is kind of obvious, but Trump is, of course, saying that he's going to order federal troops into Chicago and Baltimore, despite the local opposition from the people and from, at least in Chicago, from the mayor. What the mayor in Baltimore is doing, I wouldn't call that opposition. But anyway, President Donald Trump said Tuesday that he's ready to order federal authorities to mobilize and combat crime in Chicago and Baltimore, despite staunch opposition from elected leaders and many residents in both cities. Asked by reporters in the Oval Office about sending National Guard troops to the nation's third largest city, Trump said, "We're going in," but added, "I didn't say when. I have an obligation," the president said. "This isn't a political thing." What the hell is it then? And Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, a potential 2028 Democratic presidential contender, oh God, scoffed at the notion of sending military troops and federal agents into Chicago, reiterating Tuesday that federal intervention was not required or wanted. Local officials in Baltimore have joined Democratic Maryland Governor Wes Moore in similarly opposing federal law enforcement intervention. Trump has already sent National Guard troops into Los Angeles and Washington, where he's also federalized the police force. He said he planned similar moves in other Democrat-run cities, even as a federal judge on Tuesday deemed the California deployment illegal. Yes, that happened. A judge in California said that Trump deploying the National Guard to LA was illegal. Is it going to change anything he does? No. So, a little bit further down, the article says the president praised Washington Mayor Muriel Bowser for working with federal forces, but repeated his criticism of Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, a Democrat. Trump said he'd love to have Pritzker call and say, "Send in the troops," even though the two-term governor has repeatedly said he won't be doing that. That's pretty much all you need to know about that particular issue. But a couple of things here. One, see how as soon as Muriel Bowser started to agree with Trump, then she ceases to become the problem in Trump's eyes, and now he's praising her. You see how quickly, you see how fast, because now Bowser is saying that she is ordering MPD to comply and cooperate with the National Guard and federal force.
Past the 30 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and Trump deploys the National Guard for 29-day stints so that they don't have to be paid.
That's crazy.
Beyond.
Oh, really?
Yes. He sets the deployment at 29 days. And so that they don't have to be paid whatever it is after the 30 days. There's an additional thing that they're supposed to be paid if they're deployed beyond 30 days. So he sets the deployment at 29 days and renews it for another 29 days on the 30th day so that they don't have to be paid that additional whatever it is for an extended deployment. So Bowser has never been opposed to this. We talked about this. These folks in these other cities, they're saying what they're saying, but for me, the question is a bigger question than what these particular politicians are doing. Now this becomes a question of statehood and the power of statehood for me, because in DC, we're not a state and we don't have statehood. We have this thing called home rule, which still allows Congress to control or basically have veto power over everything we do. If we pass laws that Congress doesn't like, they have the right to veto it. They have the right to approve or veto our budget. And every mayor since Barry has pretty much gone along with them. I think Barry was the only one who was like, okay, this is a little bit too much. And even he, got in, supported some of the efforts to deploy the National Guard during the worst part, years of the crack era. But this to me raises the issue of the people are, making this now in DC a fight over defending DC home rule, achieving statehood. And my question is statehood going to keep Trump from deploying the National Guard in Chicago and Baltimore? because Illinois and Maryland are states. They're full states. And if they can't stop the president from deploying the National Guard to their states, what is statehood going to do to protect the residents of DC? And I'm not arguing against statehood. I think I am raising the issue of we have to talk about what statehood is, what it isn't, what we think it is going to provide us, and be very clear on what it's not. Because for me, the argument for statehood is really simple: no taxation without representation. We're paying federal taxes in Washington, D.C. We have no representation in Congress. So for me, that is the statehood argument, because everything else kind of falls on this idea that the state and its laws are legitimate. And are they? When we're seeing the state and its laws wielded any kind of way in violation of existing laws, allegedly, right? So what is statehood? What good is it? What is it going to do? And I think we need to be clear about that, because I think people are kind of missing the details and the utility of what these kinds of efforts are, thinking that they're gonna, DC becoming a state is going to be the liberation for Black folks in DC, and I don't think it is.
Well, I'll start with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say. I was going to say quickly that one, it's not even in play right now, right? I mean, but the last time it could have been in play, Obama was the president who had a supermajority of both houses. And that might have been the last time that there actually could have been, whether, how important it is or not, but that probably was the last time it could have been an easy victory for the Democrats to not only increase the amount of seats they have in Congress, but then to have a state that would be, if not majority Black, close to majority Black, that they could say that they quote unquote control. But even then, like, the Democratic Party did what it always does, is fail to take the initiative, or knows not to take the initiative, to even do what they say they want to do in terms of their promises. So, it may be an interesting discussion for now about what what statehood could provide. And usually what the states, the states have so-called some constitutional powers, right, as constitutional entities. And usually what the states do is that they use their power to crack down on cities, to make sure that the cities are aligned with whatever the states claim that they want to happen. So as we saw, particularly in 2020, a lot of the states started passing the legislation that would stop localities from decreasing, again, not that these localities were doing it, but even if they thought about it, from decreasing the amount of resources that could go to the police under the threat of having their other funding taken away by the state, right? So the state's real power, obviously there's voting power and so forth, but what does that matter these days anyway? But the states, usually what they do is they also check the cities, which don't have any sort of so-called constitutional rights, because they're basically corporate entities that were formed via the state. So that's why the cities have these charters and so forth. So for me, it's an interesting discussion, but I would agree, unless the people running the state are radical and politicized, ain't nothing different gonna happen.
Yeah, I was going to name, I think even to the point of, like, when we look at these other, like Puerto Rico and these other instances where the same statehood is argued for, I think it makes a difference in terms of the uptick of the statehood argument, because when it was predominantly a chocolate city, that argument for statehood was all but ignored, right? Mm-hmm. And so now we have a resurgence of this argument with less Africans in the city. The redistricting and redlining of DC has been reworked. His city council looks completely different. Pockets of DC look completely different. So what the statehood argument is, especially since Mayor Bowser is also in support of it, is the consolidation and a grab for power. That's really all it is, and trying to maintain it. And I say that because what she released yesterday goes beyond because this was supposed to be the 30 days. I think one of the arguments I said is like, we can't be looking at this in 30-day increments, because what happens after that 30 days, especially if it's predominantly looked at specifically as a Trump escalation. So if we don't understand all the dynamics at play on how we got here, then what happens after that 30 days? And then surprise, surprise, here we are coming up upon it. And the mayor says, oh no, we're going to extend that with the MPD that's going to give full support for the National Guard, because we believe in what Trump has done. And so, like, even when I from the chat, even like when I kind of push back on the way that it's flattened, my argument is not that Trump or like that this should not be seen as a Trump thing, or this is not an escalation. But my argument is dialectical. Escalation from what, right? We can't say that this dropped on us. This did not fall from the sky. This is not by happenstance. And when you see that there is an opposition party that is not actually opposing, then how we got here is as important as how we fight it. Because we need to know and be clear about who the enemies are in this process, right? Because Trump he's leaving DC alone. He's like, look, I don't have to do nothing with DC because I got somebody there that'll handle it, right? So his good friend Mariel. So now he's moving on to other cities. And so we also have a governor in Maryland who was fighting hard for the FBI headquarters to be in Maryland. He's not against federal agencies. He's also in support of the juvenile justice bill that was floating around Maryland that wanted to charge 9 and 10-year-old kids. That's the mayor. They're saying, come do this perk walk in the city. We'll show you. We got it all under control because we shooting our people anyway. Ain't no crime happening. We killing them. Ain't no crime. We don't need y'all. Like so they're inviting Trump. So now the big to-do about, the National Guard is coming. It's like, but they are actively engaging in this process where they want to showboat like they got it and they're bigger and they can handle it. But they are actively complicit in all of this. Because if there is no Trump, them 3 people are still dead in Baltimore because of the BPD. Trump didn't do that.
Right.
And Trump is not making Brandon Scott say nothing about it. Trump is not making Merrill Bowser push the crime bill or the Safe and Beautiful Act that's included in the statement that she just pushed yesterday. He didn't make them people do that. This is black people. They have autonomy, y'all. Ain't nobody hands being tied behind their back. They have their autonomy, and they also have their special interests, just as those who are making this a Trump thing do too, because that's what the money is for the No Kings marches. If you can pinpoint Trump as the sole proprietor of all of this, your money and your funding. And that's why I have to be clear about, like, there's those rallies that are saying to bring back the USAID and all of those things because Trump bad. And then there's what's actually happening where all of these people are a part of it. So I'm not saying this isn't an escalation, but then my question becomes, so is what Bowser doing an escalation? Right. Because it's going to keep getting worse and worse and worse because we need to be organized to obtain and maintain power. Because the question here is about power. And we won't be clear on that if we only see it one enemy at a time.
And this is a conversation I keep having with folks. I mean, just last week, I don't know if something was in the water, but people just felt like they didn't like me talking about how, because I said, and I have said this repeatedly about the response to all of Trump's actions, like somebody resist something. Like, please, just please. And the person took serious umbrage with the fact that I suggested that the people at the Smithsonian Institution should, just, kind of not do what Trump is telling them to do if they really think he's a fascist. And it's really weird to me that people are still very much like, I don't understand the focus on liberals. What do you mean? How are you talking about you don't understand the focus on liberals? Because if you don't get that liberals are the problem, then you haven't paid any attention to what Dr. King said. You didn't pay any attention to what Malcolm X said. You didn't pay any attention to what any of our Queen Mother, more or not. You haven't paid attention to our at Kwame Ture. You haven't paid any attention to anything. You're not disagreeing with me. It's not me you're disagreeing with when I'm sitting here telling people the obvious, that Democrats, yes, what Trump is doing is terrible. It's awful. It is frightening. It is a bit, but it's not done in a vacuum. He's not making this stuff up. He is doing it on top of other things. What are the other things he was doing that were being done before Trump came in? And who was doing it? We have to talk about that because, again, once Trump leaves, once the National Guard goes back to where they came from, what y'all gonna do about these Democrat mayors that's been kicking your asses all this time before Trump came around? And are now happily using the resources that Trump is putting into their cities to kick your asses even more effectively. What y'all gonna do about that when Trump isn't around to blame anymore and it's still happening?
I heard he died. Is that true?
I think there's a watch now. There's like a daily watch.
There's a watch. There's a Trump. I should say that we're all. I'm trying to be careful because I don't want. But yes, there is a Trump death clock.
Which, even to your point, like even when Trump dies, which
right.
It's not like it's the dismantling of MAGA, right? It's not like those forces. In a lot of ways, those forces felt like they were using Trump because he's so ideologically all over the place. And they're more solidified, and they saw Trump as someone who could push their agenda. If you listen to interviews of Steve Bannon, and sort of like, again, what I call like that sort of a insurgent white nationalist interest, that they saw Trump as somebody who could be maneuvered to push the agenda that they wanted. So even when Trump goes, again, JD Vance, becomes a president. And again, remember, he was moved, right, in terms of whatever he really believed in, right? Because he was a so-called liberal who was opposed to Trump, who, as soon as the tech money giants came in and revitalized him or changed him or gave him access to resources and so forth, it made him become all of a sudden this MAGA person. So the end of Trump is not the end of MAGA. Yeah. But it wouldn't be a bad,
Well, even to the point earlier, JD Vance and Marco Rubio have been very, very, very busy in Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago, as it pertains to Venezuela. So, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I do think that there is the way that he as an individual becomes spectacle, so much so that there is no interrogation about the rest of his administration. Right? Now people on death watch for this man. Like, he could just go. Like,
right. Everything will be all right.
And so it does become a bit of a delusion in the way that people perceive his role, and also kind of perceive the role of presidents in total as having so much control, making these decisions unilaterally, right? It becomes he's a scapegoat. So whether it's like for the liberal or for the right, it works because they can push a mass base to whatever direction suits them based on this one individual. And we've seen this sort of individualism happen with Putin. We've seen it in certain instances where you can use this sort of strong man theory or lone man and kind of move a base to believe or not believe a particular thing. And that's what I want to kind of walk away from, because we cannot properly assess the conditions that we're under if it is talked about consistently as something that Trump is manufacturing and Trump is spearheading and Trump is doing, right? This is Trump's takeover. Like the language and the narrative that keeps coming points to something specific. And that's not, to me, by happenstance. No. Because when we look at, when we research who are behind all these parades and things like that are specifically anti-Trump parades, there's a lot of funding in that. ActBlue plays a big part, right? How many of y'all still getting text messages for the Democratic Party? She been lost. She been coming up on a year that lost, and they are still asking for money. And then with that money, they're paying people out to move a particular specific narrative. And what I keep trying to do is broaden that. The same the way we keep talking about crime. There's a fixation on discussing this or pushing back on it to say, oh, but there's low crime. It doesn't matter. It can be high or low. Because if we go down the Beltway to Baltimore, low crime is being used to validate why we have a 1033 and why we have a deadly exchange and why we have Operation Relentless Pursuit and why Johns Hopkins University has a private security force that can roam the blocks. And look, it works because we have low crime. And then we go back down to DC and we have high crime. So occupy the whole area.
Right.
So we need more cops. We need more cops when the crime is low to keep it low. We need more cops when the crime is high to keep it high. Because the discussion
it's perpetual. It's intended for us to get locked into these narratives where we do not broaden how we're understanding it. And if we can't broaden it, then of course we can't speak to people about it.
Right. Right.
Which is why we are able to move it a little bit further.
So speaking to people, just to take a quick break, the ear doctors is, and then we're going to come back with more stories and we can continue with this analysis. The ear doc, why don't you come on up?
All right. Sounds good.
Was he asleep?
You smoking in the back here? What's going on with you? That
was a very unenergetic.
Yeah, you got to get somewhere. You got to even out your pills or something. Because either you like pressing a lot of buttons at the same time, and that's your hype area, and then you do something, then you come on like it's like.
Hey, I'm thinking of adding this to the merch over at Black Liberation Media. How y'all like that? That Dr. John Henry Clark joint right there.
I like it, except I feel like it should blend in more with the shirt as opposed to the square thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, I did. It's just a little. It's just a little test. It's a little test run.
What does it say? What does it say?
It says Dr. John Henry Clark.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be bigger. It's gonna be bigger.
Okay.
It's gonna be bigger. It's gonna be bigger. It's a little test run. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about different scholars that put on shirts. You know what I'm saying? We to celebrate those scholars and authors. All right.
Okay.
So
Can I complain about the merch quickly?
You said, can you complain about the merch, B?
Yes, because I feel like I had to buy my own hat, and after I paid that $28, I said to myself, so if you only make about 77, so like that's half your check. And I feel like when I was working
what happened? Oh snap! Buttons be buttoning, buttoning up some mouths. Anyway, thank y'all for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go to patreon.com, become a member over there, get footage that's rare. And where can you go to donate? blkliberationmedia.org, where there is some merch. And guess what? When we hit our 50th, we plan on sending out shirts and hoodies to all our hosts. So just putting that out there just to let her know. And you know. Anyway, we got a bunch of dope shows here on Black Liberation Media. One of the shows you might want to check out. We got two sisters that go and bring some pretty dope guests on. We're talking about Learn, Study, Revolution. They just had another guest on there that was pretty dope. So let's see what they was talking about in DC area.
You know, why was DC Chocolate City? Like what types of things were occurring in DC? But now we also see problematically, like I have friends of mine, you know, I'm from North Carolina, so I went to college with many people from DC. And so like on social media, I'm seeing many people that I went to college with having these questionable narratives about whether or not it makes sense to have deployed the National Guard in DC at this moment. And like these people are just clueless, right? And so I wanted you to help us both think about historically what DC was and then why it matters like that DC one is the kind of center of this work right now in terms of this ramping up of sort of fascist repression that Trump is engaging in, that the government is engaging in. Why does that matter, you know, in terms of what DC is, but also like how are you all as a community, as people on the ground in DC responding to what's happening right now?
You want to go learn some more? You got to go check it out. Jackie has some jewels being dropped over there, so make sure you go check out that episode with Dr. Layla Brown and Dr. CBS. All right, let's get right back to it right here at the Remix Morning Show. Hey,
what's the name of the show?
LSR.
No,
make sure y'all go and check it.
Nope. What's the name of the show?
It's not the name LSR.
What does LSR stand for?
Why don't you help us, Jackie?
No, because you
what?
You got it wrong.
Oh, so to highlight your brethren on the screen and show the world that he got something wrong is something that you feel good about?
Actually, yes, I do. Is it September? Yep.
I thought organizing the unity was, us having each other's back.
I have your back, and it would be liberalism if I knew you made a mistake and didn't pull your coattail on it. So
why not just teach
get
me?
It right.
Teach me instead of scolding me in front of the public.
It's not learn, study, revolution. I'll tell you that much.
Oh.
It's not learn, study, revolution.
Last dope intellectual. Can I go back to that? Can I write it? I don't know. It was a cool name. Last dope intellectual. I'm just saying. Maybe because I haven't been invited on the new shows, I feel a certain way.
What is it called, Cloud?
Life Study Revolution.
There it is. Thank you.
And more free merch. You want free merch already?
More free merch. What
more?
What merch did I get?
When did we get free merch?
What?
We need more.
Wow.
Workers, please.
Exactly.
Here's the proper response. The proper response to that is
I negotiated a workers deal. That was not black capitalism. A refurbished iPhone is not bourgeois.
That was an excellent negotiating strategy.
I know. I'm in BAP. What can I say?
That's right. Workers
really
of the
quick
world
before we get back to stories, we are 196 subscribers away from reaching 50,000. We're now down under the 200 mark. We are 196 subscribers away. So tell a friend, folks. Let folks know that we are on YouTube, closing in on 50,000 subscribers. We need folks to help let other folks know that this channel exists, that this program exists, that other great programming exists for you to have analysis, to be able to hear what's happening in the news, for you to hear what's happening around the world, even for you to disagree with it, right? To say, I don't think this tells the whole story. The chat does that a lot. So and rightfully so. I'm not mad at it. The chat does that a lot. It gives important information, engages in the conversation, and hopefully I've heard stories that people have actually said, I got politicized more by listening to Black Liberation Media or hearing some of y'all programs, and it got me to join the organization. And if we can do that, then this channel, whether no matter how long it takes, in Kim's estimation, to reach 50,000, then we've proven ourselves more than worthy to exist, and a group that should be getting your support. So yeah, 196 away.
Mm-hmm. Tell your friends. Tell your friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Subscribe. Get us over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So
Cloud,
next?
I thought, Cloud, you had some. I got to pull them all back up because I had to close my thing down.
Yeah.
You had some stories on Venezuela?
We sure do. So I hope Erica comes back. But
and you have to drop those links again, actually, because since I had to sign off and sign back on in my links, unless Jackie has them.
Let me see.
In the private chat.
Oh yeah. Which would you want to start with the?
You can start with the zone of peace statement.
All right.
Way down. Yeah.
The wrong button. Oh. There we go.
So I'm sure folks have seen, been hearing massive warships build up in the Caribbean. But this is a statement that came out from the Zone of Peace campaign, the Popular Steering Committee for a Zone of Peace in Our Americas. Many organizations involved, including the Red of Afro-Venezuelan organizations, and many other organizations in the area, came together to write this statement. And so actually, in terms of even thinking about the encirclement in Venezuela or around Venezuela happening, it's not just happening in the Caribbean, right? We see that the Pacific Ocean, up and down from Panama down to, Chile, is being completely militarized, right? Ecuador itself has essentially become its own military base. Up and down the Pacific. In Peru, there's Southcom bases all up and down the Pacific lining up being built. And there is a fairly recent, couple weeks ago, sort of territorial dispute in the Amazon between Peru and Colombia of La Isla Santa Rosa, which is not exactly directly next to Venezuela, but it gets them a lot closer, right? So having U.S. warships in the Pacific, in the Amazon, and in the Caribbean, we can see that the U.S. is surrounding Venezuela, right? Using what military strategy called the pincer strategy, right? Like similar thing that they did in Syria, right? So you can see that they're encircling from all sides, and of course, what is the massive resource in Venezuela is the oil, right? So in that statement, we say essentially what the Lima group couldn't do through lawfare is now going to be outright war, to try to regime change Maduro and Venezuela as a whole. I'm sure Erica has a bunch to say about Trinidad and Tobago and Kamla's role there, who basically declared all out war against Venezuela and using the language of zone of peace essentially to say that Venezuela is the country that is going against peace, right? And that U.S. warships there is what's going to bring peace to the region. So yeah, I would love to hear, Erica, if you have anything to say around that specific point around it. But yeah, it's not a great time in the Caribbean right now. It's not a great time in Nuestra America. So yeah.
Yeah, I can speak to it a bit. So I think I've talked about Kamla, not we want to be clear. I spoke about her for quite some time, I think, on the show previously. I think she's nuts personally. I never thought the lady was rap tight, but they let her back in as prime minister again. And I think that also speaks to there was a low voter turnout. I think in general, there's a mass kind of disenchantment with these democratic processes because PNM, which is the party of Eric Williams, Keith Raleigh didn't finish out his term. He left before the term was over, etc. So Kamla now is taking a stance that crime is so rampant in Trinidad and Tobago from inception of her coming into office. Well, this is how she ran. Before she came into office, she praised Donald Trump. She attacked Biden and his woke policies, which she agreed brings in criminals and criminal activity and changes the morality of society and things like that. So these are her statements, and then she wins. So obviously she's still going on about crime. So this is another instance. And if you go to Hood Communist, one of my more recent pieces is on the fallacy of crime, like crime as a Trojan horse for colonial occupation, because we can see criminal activity like drug cartel, etc., being used to put a bounty on Venezuela, but also attack Venezuela. And then on the flip side, in Trinidad and Tobago, you can see the terms of crime being used to justify this sort of unprecedented approval if you will, of the U.S. being on these waters. So even to Cloud's point about the zone of peace, well, Guyana kind of also started this last year with the misuse of the zone of peace because of the tensions between the land, of the disputed land, between Guyana and Venezuela. So there are, and I think I've spoken to this, and I wrote for my Patreon, Trinidad and Tobago's Independence Day was on the 31st. I wrote about, the Trinidad and Tobago, the question of sovereignty for my Patreon. So the folks want to check that out. But much of what I was saying in that piece is that even the folks who want to argue, because to be clear, BAP did not create the zone of peace. BAP did not start the zone of peace. We've only amplified the people's grassroots ground up campaign portion of this. This has been a call in the Caribbean. This has been a call in the U.S. Americas for a long time. So this supersedes us. This is not us. So when folks are talking about a zone of peace or when they are criticizing a zone of peace, just be clear that BAP is not the end all be all to all organizing, right? So they could be speaking about something else because BAP is not the only ones calling for a zone of peace, just in general in this region, but Movement for Social Justice, the Caribbean Social Movement for Peace, their grassroots movements in the Caribbean that have been amplifying and pushing the concept of the zone of peace. Of course, many of them have signed on to the zone of peace campaign, the U.S. NATO Out of the Americas network that we have initiated, but that is not necessarily us. So when you have people like David Abula, who's a longtime infamous worker activist in Trinidad and Tobago, when he talks about a zone of peace, he is talking about that in relation to if we're concerned about crime, or if we're concerned about creating peace in this area, there has never been a time that the U.S. has brought peace anywhere. And all we are doing are agitating this area and pulling Trinidad and Tobago and pulling Guyana and then pulling all these other CARICOM nations into a fight and a struggle that we don't really participate in. The last interventionist kind of thing that they've done was Grenada. And that was so much just not saying anything.
Right. Yeah.
So they're not really known for intervening, aside from Haiti. And so then the question becomes, if we're so concerned about a zone of peace, and if it is that criticisms of that zone of peace could be waged at us because nobody's speaking about the aggression or whatever's occurring between Guyana and Venezuela over the land, and that is interfering with that process of a zone of peace, I don't think that's resolved any better with the U.S. military and U.S. Southcom on the Caribbean waters. I don't think that has resolved anything. I think that agitates the situation more. And I think the two prime ministers, I think Guyana just had an election. I have to check back to see what that, because that was a doozy. But they just also had an election last week. But those two prime ministers, not only are they Hindu nationalists, I want to say that aside from that, but they are all 10 toes down in with the U.S. We have Exxon in that situation in Guyana. Last year under Raleigh, a lot of land grabs and oil policies were made and done. We have a piece in Hood Communists on that called "The Dragon" or Pawn Star, PAWN, and that was written by an activist in Trinidad and Tobago, just discussing the dynamics of oil, because those three countries are very oil rich: Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, and Guyana, and they literally sit in a triangle. We make the jokes that you could swim to Venezuela from Trinidad and Tobago. Well, it's that close, and their land mass directly next to Guyana. So this is a very serious issue that CARICOM is not speaking or saying a word about. But then also Kamala is saying she don't give a damn if CARICOM said anything, because she's not asking CARICOM about anything. So that's where we stand. That the Caribbean is a mess,
right? And I think to some of our previous points, right, around the duopoly and how they work together, right? Like, so now there's a $50 million bounty on Maduro's head, which, by the way, he's in Miraflores. Like, literally everyone knows where he is, right? He's in Caracas. The fuck? But so that's a $50 million bounty. But that is after Biden issued a $25 million bounty, right? So like we could see that they just sort of escalate those things, right? And so it's not that they're acting, you know, in any different way, right? The interests are the same for both parties. You know, obviously I think this is an escalation, certainly, but it's not to say who set the groundwork, right?
Right.
Yeah, both parties agree that they want to remove
Maduro.
Maduro, yeah.
as they wanted to, previously to remove Chavez, right? And as you said, like this escalate, Trump is now attempting to, again, use the crime narrative, the drug cartel narrative, as his entry point to the compliant and complicit U.S. media to also push that somehow there are these drug cartels that are sending in mass amounts of drugs to the, well, to put it like this, the U.S. population that seems to be opposed to taking drugs.
Right.
And so that these drugs are being pushed into the U.S. Through Venezuela. And that is what they're now using as their signature piece for basically a possible invasion and or murder and or continual escalation of economic strangulation against Venezuela. And so I was going to play quickly. So the video that they are hawking now is one in which the United States, so again, think about it, the United States military with all this power has now started to hawk this video of it basically blowing up a speedboat, murdering 11 people, claiming that it was a drug cartel speedboat. And so they've put out this video, which I'll play really quickly for folks, of basically them bombing a speedboat, again, with 11 people who apparently were murdered by the United States. They've released no other information whatsoever that suggests that this boat had anything to do with organized crime or whatever. And even if it did, even if they were delivering drugs, the idea that you would use the military force to basically send a missile and murder those people without any so-called due process, where if it was an issue of drugs, there's plenty of ways to intervene and stop a boat without blowing it up for the spectacle of it. And again, the spectacle of it is to show that the United States is willing to do everything and anything to show its power, its murderous use of its power to destroy other countries, other governments, in order to take back over and to privatize oil so that U.S. companies can get in, and again, to make another state compliant with U.S. interests. That is the goal. And we're seeing, like you said, the surrounding and escalation in Venezuela, which again may lead to an outright invasion, may lead to just further bombing the city or the capital to attempt to make the population compliant, and even in some ways to attempt to make the population turn against Maduro, because sometimes any kind of peace is better than having your country destroyed, right? So these are all the hopes that they have in terms of turning Venezuela back into a compliant state.
Yeah.
Right. But
so that was the thing.
Exactly. And they're using the same, right? Ni pudieron ni podrán, right? The similar language of they will never, they couldn't, and they will never. Topple. They will not, they cannot. But specifically, I think to a couple things, right? One, the U.S. calling any other country narco trafficking, knowing the history, right? Like, let's just look at Iran-Contra, right? And to say, right, the two countries with the highest amount of cocaine production, Colombia and Peru, who's in those countries? The DEA, right? Bolivia kicked out the DEA, and they completely went off the list of cocaine producing countries, right? Ecuador, there's literal evidence that the president of Ecuador, U.S. puppet Noboa, his family's business is involved in narco trafficking to cocaine to Europe, right? But the U.S. is going to say something about another country, bet, right? So we understand that that's not the reason that they're using it as Erica has been saying, right, as Trojan horse to say, right? I mean, it's outright projection. It's the same thing the U.S. does all over the place, right? And then the other thing too is, while there's this escalation of military buildup, there's also been an internal enlistment of citizens into the militias, right? So it's not even just military people. It is normal everyday people that understand if we want peace, we need to fight for it.
Yeah. And chances are that's who was on the boat. Because they have had militias kind of going around in the speedboats and protecting the water. So chances are that's who was on the boat. Just quickly want to name, even in terms of like how we talk about the processes of how we got here. We remember in 2019, the recognition of Juan Guaido as the real leader of Venezuela, which led to the embassy takeover, where we were trying to a bunch of us try to occupy the Venezuelan embassy because we understood that once an ambassador goes in, that we can't make that argument anymore, that Juan Guaido was not legitimate. Trump leaves office, Juan Guaido is still shown around Congress as the main and only recognizable leader, even though Juan Guaido at the time no longer is affiliated with his party, because at this time everybody beat him up. Like he was getting ass whoopings all the time. So he's no party affiliation. He's a lone person. And under Biden, they were still recognizing Juan Guaido, and they also issued the Bolivar Act, which is what she's speaking to about the $20 to $35 million bounty, insinuating the same thing. So this has continued to be the trajectory of how they have dealt with it. Also want to name that Kamala, who also at the time held no office and was not in any affiliation with UNC. I think she had stepped down at that point, was recognizing Juan Guaido, right? So her interest in Venezuela is not just some brand new interest that she's being coaxed into by the US. I'm sure they are having conversations, but she is willing to do this anyway. I just think generally she's a racist. But so, and then it also, because Trinidad and Tobago, again, with the immigration language that's coming very similar to what Trump says. And so because it's a swim away, there's a lot of Venezuelan refugees and a lot of so she's saying because they're here, they're the culprits for the crime. Because the crime never happened in Trinidad and Tobago up until Venezuelans hit the shores, right? And my grandmother is part Venezuelan. So Venezuelans have always been in Trinidad and Tobago. So this is not some new thing. And so I say that to say that these are just all of this is happening at once. So the idea that one person is singularly responsible for it is the type of thing that I'm trying to break people away from, because everything happens in steps. There's a thing that led to this thing, that led to this next thing, and that's why we're here. But if we don't have any idea of how we got here, and there's just an assumption that this is the worst it's ever been, and it's just going to keep getting worse, and we don't know how it started to get worse, and what it looks like to fight that becomes unimaginable, because we don't even really know what we're fighting.
And as always, I keep forgetting when I mute myself. And as always, we can look at the way the U.S. moves against Venezuela. We can look at the way the U.S. has moved against every country that it wants to have some control over for their resources. Look at the language they use to criminalize those people, to set up an excuse for the kind of violence that they always unleash on them that we're seeing right now. And we can tie it right back to what's going on in our street. Because isn't this the same Trojan horse of criminality and crime that Trump and Democratic mayors have always used to empower more police action against the people, when crime has never been the issue, it's poverty. And in this case, with the situation with Venezuela, it's not even poverty, it's imperialism.
Right.
It is U.S. imperialism that is the problem. So again, we talk about these issues of U.S. foreign policy not as separate examples of a corrupt system. This is what connects us to people around the world. This is why we have to be engaged in international solidarity, because the ruling class oppresses all of us all around the world using the exact same tactics, the exact same language, for the exact same reason. So if they're organized against us, we need to be organized with each other against them. That's, I don't know how else people don't, I'm still perplexed at how people are still feeling isolationist. As kind of the evidence of everything we've been saying is like just being exposed. Like this is all connected.
Yeah, and to your point around using, you know, Venezuelan migrants as a scapegoat, of like they're the ones that are bringing the violence, right? The same thing is that's the same rhetoric in Peru, right? The neo-colonial Boluarte regime. All of a sudden, now that, you know, there's like waves of Venezuelan migrants, those are the ones that are bringing in the violence. Not to say anything about the national police and the military that have killed over 70 people in different massacres, predominantly in the south of Peru, where along the mining corridor, where there's the largest amounts of the different minerals they're after, right, including the lithium in Puno, and the oil in the Amazon, right. So I think that's a tactic, right, strategy that they're using throughout our Americas, as a way to encircle Venezuela again, right? Because it's not just about the actual country; it's about the Bolivarian revolution itself, right? That is what they are trying to, you know, kneecap at all costs.
Yeah, I think just to hit on that a little bit more, it's, you know, we talk about them wanting to seize the resources, the oil, but they also want to stop a socialist government from succeeding.
Yes.
Right? They want to make sure that there can be no example of development that's outside the capitalist orbit. Venezuela poses no threat, as Cuba doesn't, as Nicaragua doesn't.
Right.
None of these countries pose any military threat to the United States. What they pose is a threat of the economic order of Western hegemony by attempting to show people that you can order your economy in ways that benefit the masses of people, that don't serve capitalist interests, and that don't succumb to international pressure of capitalist interests. And to do that is a declaration of war against the capitalists, and the capitalists will then strike back, right? They will do everything within their power to stop an economy from an economic system within, again, these relatively speaking small countries that don't all have the same amount of resources, but are trying to rearrange their resources and their economies to benefit their people. If folks get into the bad habit of thinking they can do that too in their countries, in Jamaica, in Trinidad, or in the United States even, right? If folks start to get the idea that they can reorder their economies to serve their people, capitalism is dead. And so that's why the capitalists will use every and any measure to, again, kill masses of people, to destroy economies, which wind up killing masses of people, to stop the idea that there are other ways in which society can be ordered that benefit people.
Yeah, I think it was the Lancet Medical Review. I want to say it was the Lancet Medical Review that recently came out with a study basically showing that sanctions kill more people than warfare does, right? But to speak about sanctions, right, as you're saying, right, the U.S. capitalist ruling class doesn't want to have any examples so close, especially so close to their borders, in their backyard, right? That's not what the Monroe Doctrine is about. But because of these sanctions, countries like Nicaragua, like Venezuela, have had to increase the production of food, right? So I think now, whereas they used to import 80% of their food and you know, goods, now produce about 90%. They're almost entirely food sovereign.
Over
Very
90.
similar situation. Over 90%. And I think Nicaragua is almost on the same level, if not more. Right? So yeah, there you go. So that's not the example that they're thank you. That's not that the example that they're trying to have set. It's, again, especially in their backyard, right? So-called backyard. And I mean, even with the coup in Peru, right? Like I've talked about it a bunch, right? It was about the lithium, but one of the first things that the coup regime did, or actually, I'm sorry, let me back up. One of the first things that Castillo did was reestablish relations with Venezuela under his first foreign minister, Héctor Béjar. And the day that they forced Castillo to dismiss Béjar, which happened like almost 5-6 months before the actual coup consolidated, I knew it was already in the works. I was like, oh, they're gonna coup him, because they want to bring back the Lima Group, right? The Lima Group started as a group of nations in South America, particularly to encircle Venezuela, to enact regime change, right? Mostly through lawfare. But like we said in the Zone of Peace statement, right, what the Lima Group couldn't do through lawfare will now just be outright war.
Yeah. And so I do think, even to the point that was made about how they want peace, or, it's better they might just stop fighting. And so I think Nicaragua is a really, really good example of that. Because after the Contra Wars, it was so bloody and so disruptive, that the people just said, we'll have the elections. Fine, we'll have the elections. And then they suffered for that for the next decade. It was like the dark years. They suffered from 1990 to 2007 when Ortega gets voted in. And so that was the reverse of everything. Everything got privatized. They were inexplicably poor. Like, it was really, really devastating, bad conditions that they're under Ortega now currently. And these last couple of years, they've been able to overwork, like they didn't have streets for a long time. Like, they had nothing to walk on. Like, the kids were uneducated. The women had no rights, essentially. So, like, that's a drastic difference of what we're seeing in Nicaragua. But I mentioned that to say, like, there are examples of the way that the U.S. uses, oh, we've done this before here, we can do that again. We can do it over here. They're not really rewriting scripts. They're not really rethinking of new ways or new avenues to do a thing. The lawfare scheme has always been the lawfare scheme. The ways that they go about coups, the ways that they go about sanctions, they're not really thinking of anything new. They're just using, like, they're doing it in new areas. Like, oh, we haven't tried this in Venezuela yet, but we've done it in Nicaragua. Let's see how it plays out in Venezuela. Oh, it didn't work there. Let's see about Peru. And that's what it seems like it's happening, especially in the areas that have been deemed as part of the pink tide. And we can make the criticism, I always do, about whatever that pink tide is. Because I say better red, or dead. But to your point, just the idea that a pink tide could occur and the way that the region was moving really shook the U.S. up, even under Obama. And you see that the way that they've gone after Chavez and all of these other people, Ortega, and these places have been sanctioned since 2007, essentially. Nicaragua has been sanctioned. There's always been countless attempts of coups since. I think 2017 was the last real big attempt, but they've been sanctioned since, right? So they're really limited. And we see that with Cuba. So there's ways that we see that these things play particular roles. And even when we talk about Nicaragua, I think it's also important. Like, that was a moment with 1990. I think Bush goes on TV and says, oh, there's crack here. We found one. Right? So even to the point of, like, domestic and global imperialism being counterparts, I think there are ways that we really need to start looking at how these things are working in tandem. Like, there's nothing that's happening in the U.S. that's affecting us solely in the U.S. that is not a part of a larger geopolitical sphere. Right? I think it means something that Mahdi is invited and welcome overwhelmingly in Trinidad and Tobago in this time, knowing what he's doing in India, knowing what's occurring there, right? Because I think it says something about the direction of the country under this leadership. And then that's also cemented by her all hands in with this Venezuela policy. So just looking at all of these things that's happening at once, but understanding that there's multiple people involved.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's real quickly. One reason why sometimes I think when the left gets involved with these ideas of, like, oh, we have to start all over and create this new thing that we haven't invented before in order to fight back, it's like, you don't got to do that. There are things that have worked that have been destroyed, and you have to look at. In fact, it's the things that have been destroyed are the things that we need to be repeating, because they were destroyed for a reason. And so when people think about we have to use some imaginary new tactics that we have not already been using, as opposed to going back and solidifying the things that did work, right? When people talk about negatively about certain kinds of nationalism, particularly for the Black community, like, oh, that's outdated. It's like, really? Because I think nationalism really works around the world to gather people. Like there's certain forms of it you do not want. But when you have a revolutionary nationalism, ideological viewpoint or thinking that brings your country left and unites your people around a common enemy, that is the most powerful tool that has ever been used to defeat colonialism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is the thing that makes people believe that they can actually work together to kick it out. And when you tie that with Pan-Africanism and you tie that with internationalism, those are the basic tools of revolutionary forces that have a chance. There's no new, like, oh, we're going to think of some third party that's going to vote everything together. And then when we do that, there's tools and tactics that we have lost because we decide to not pick them up because we think we can be cute and dance around colonialism or imperialism or white supremacy and white nationalism. And so sometimes I think we on the left, whatever, maybe not in our crew, but other crews that we all probably all work with, kind of dance around some of these issues about what really is happening, what imperialism is, both home and abroad. And when we don't confront it, when we don't confront it directly, then we think then that's when we'd have the slippage of, oh, but if we could only get the Democrats back in, or we can move the Democratic Party a little bit here and a little bit there, or it's better to be a little safer here than to challenge. If there is no other time in history that shows us there's a time that for our history or our time, that this is the ripe opportunity to break away from the Democratic Party and to do some of the tactics and strategies which have worked in the past, but to double down on them, then we are not seeing, in my estimation, we are not seeing what's happening in the world in terms of a proper analysis.
Yeah. I also think people think we just have these conversations and then people are just going to get it, right? And so that's why I think the real tension is about like how things are explained to the masses. One, I just think I'm very much interested in how organizers have now detached themselves from part of the masses. Like it's us, the organizers, and then it's you all, the masses, right? As if you didn't come from that, right? The only thing that makes you an organizer is that you're a part of an organization. Like that's not some special term. Right? Because a good organizer organizes folks to be organizers, right? So, but I do think even to that point, there is a way that some of these things are avoided because people themselves don't have that particular kind of clarity. So then it becomes well, that's not going to work. Right? Even though it hasn't been tried, it hasn't been tested. Right. When we talk about the process of organizing, it is a scientific process that things have to get tried and tested. And some of the shit don't work. It don't. But you won't ever know that if you don't do it. And I just think that there is like a thing where that's not going to work. We're not even going to talk to those people about it because they're not going to get it. Sure, they're not going to get it. They don't even know you. They don't know they don't know you from nothing. So you could be saying anything to them because that's how it's received. Like this person could be telling me the truth or this person could not, because you have not done any real particular kind of base building, relationship building. So that becomes the discussion where, to your point, it does become easier to pinpoint Trump only because that is the only way they understand grabbing a mass base that is inundated by that daily on TV. That it's Trump, right? So there's no idea that people are just not going to get it. And I think that's just so paternalistic to think about our own people in that kind of way. Because how did you get it?
Yeah, I mean,
wake up one day clear, like,
Yeah, that's not how it happened at all. That's not. I mean, this is the whole point behind organizing is to raise the consciousness of our people. Is to help our people reorient their own thinking toward changing this system. That's what revolution is, y'all. It is a complete change of the current whatever it is. Revolutionary change, though, that is the specific thing, because yeah, the system can change, but the system can change in a way that is worse for the people. So our job as revolutionary organizers is to help people understand why the system is messed up, how it's messed up, who's doing it, and that there are alternatives that are better than this. These are the examples, and these are some of the ways we can get there. And yes, we're going to have to try those ways. We're going to have to test some things. We're going to have to go the heck outside and talk to people that we are not good at. We're not good at it. And we're not good at it. We don't want to do it. We are so used to, especially now, we are hyper focused on doing everything on social media, through social media. You know, oh, okay, it's great. It's a tool, but social media is not the revolution. That's not how it's going to be done. We can disseminate a whole lot of information to a bunch of people way faster than we could have in the past, but nothing is going to replace the way movements were built traditionally, not just in the past, but look at MAGA. How do y'all think they grew? They used our tactics. They use the organizing tactics of the left that the conservatives destroyed to build their own base. Now, listen, if the enemy is so afraid of your tactics, but respect them so much that they will destroy your shit and then use what you built to build their own, and you gonna sit here and talk about, well, I'm not gonna organize because there's problems with organizers and they like telling people what to do, and I don't like being told what to do. The hell is wrong with you? How you think you're gonna change what they're doing after they stole it from us by not getting involved in the work that we perfected? That's crazy to me. I don't. We down bad, but we don't have to be. We can do better. And organizing, being an organization, it's not the end of the world. Nobody's trying to turn you into something you don't want to be. Nobody's trying to be the boss of you. We are trying to get free. Either you want to be free or you don't. And if you don't, you can go do something else. But if being in a disciplined organization is not something that you want to do, please go do your thing somewhere else. I'm just saying.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of, maybe false dichotomies around local iterations and national iterations, as if it's not the same fucking organization. Which to me, honestly, just doesn't make any sense. But, folks want to try to have autonomous cells, apparently.
When they're not doing no cell activity.
They're not doing no cell activity except being in chats.
Yes.
They think that's the organizing. Oh, I know this person by their signal name. Can you pick them out of a fucking lineup? What? Like, you don't even know who you're talking to. That's alarming, actually. You don't even know who you're talking to. And then when, it's your people in your organization that theoretically you should trust, you can't even provide names. That's extremely alarming, honestly. But we out here.
No, I think quickly, if I added up all the PEs that we do internally compared to all the ways in which we don't interact with people in the street, half of those PEs you could sacrifice half of the PEs that we all do internally. And I mean all of us, right?
Yes.
So like, you know what? Instead of meeting together again for a book study, we're going to go outside and talk to people about such and such. Just half. Not all of them, but just half. But again, we get comfortable too in our own shells of like, oh, we're speaking to each other, we're talking to each other, we're learning with each other, and it makes us feel good. And nobody wants to take away you feeling good about that stuff. But half of the time we spent was more like a public education, political education, like that's outside in the street. You got to do something inside the building, like outside in the street corner, like every week. Again, you know who are good organizers? The fucking Nation of Islam are good organizers.
The Mormons.
The Hebrew Israelites.
Mormons,
right? Mormons are great organizers.
Are good organizers.
We were sharing a block for Fairfax. Like, nah, y'all got it.
They're going to get that door not opened or slammed in their face 9 out of 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
But when they do it 40 times in one day, and then they get 4 recruits, and then they do it another day, and they got 4 more and 4 more and 4 more, then they buying buildings. Then they got communities. Then they got churches. We do it once. We're like, oof.
Right.
I need 2 weeks. I need some wellness. I need some wellness time. right
And
now.
look, they're not better organizers because of what they are peddling.
So shady.
They are better organizers because they understand that is what you have to do to build a movement. That's what you have to do to get people into your thing. It doesn't matter. I mean, how do you think door-to-door salesmen in the early 20th century going door-to-door selling encyclopedias, vacuum cleaners, irons, you know, this is how people made money. They know it's literally a numbers game. It doesn't matter what you're selling. If you want to draw bodies, if you want to get bodies into your organization, it is a numbers game. Yeah. You have to talk to a certain number of people. When you want to get people into a town hall, then you got to get 1,000 flyers.
Yeah.
and you got to pass those 1,000 flyers out to 1,000 people if literally, you want 100 people in there. Do you understand? Right. It's a numbers game. And everybody else understands that. Well, I shouldn't say everybody else, but there are plenty of examples of non-revolutionary class enemies using that very simple, basic organizational truth to achieve their goals, which their goals are not beneficial for all of us, are not going to be beneficial for all of society, but they are successful in achieving their goals. And we're sitting here talking about, well, they're doing something special, or it's because they're it's because it's a numbers game, and they are not afraid to get out there, out in the streets, in public, knock on doors, and talk to people, period.
Oh, you don't just have to post it on Instagram?
And Republican Party. I'm so sorry. The Republican and Democratic Party, they canvas. They pay out people to go canvas.
Yes. That's why I said the thing about Act Blue, because they do. Show up.
They know how to fucking canvas. I was just gonna say, you don't have to just post it on Instagram and that's how the people come to your things. I thought it was just social media. My bad.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like this is a very weird period of time where I think we are realizing how much information didn't get conveyed to later generations and how little people understand what is required of us now. If people, on the one hand, we always have the state that is always going to suppress every effort by the people to organize ourselves and challenge it. Right? We know the state is never going to look at the people's genuine organizing efforts, genuine efforts at confronting the state and its contradictions and oppressions. The state is never going to be like, oh, they're exercising their rights, let's let them do that. No, they leave Act Blue and Indivisible and 50501. They're fine with them and their big old protest, because they know their protests really are not about challenging the system as it exists. Right? But us, they're always going to be on our necks, making it more difficult for us to do this very basic, simple work, which is exactly why we should be motivated to do even more of it. Right? I really don't understand the constant criticism of tactics that people, like Kamal said early, that people say are outdated, that they won't even bother trying now. And the criticism always comes from people who are not even in organizations to be doing anything in the first place.
Well, I don't know. I just want to clarify something. So Cloud wasn't talking about autonomous cells. Cloud was talking about attempting to create autonomous cells when you are in an organization that is not autonomous, right? That was very clear. If you have an autonomous organization, good for you, because we encourage that everybody get organized, right? We need to be creating these self-defense coalitions in our streets. There are occupations happening from city to city, right? We're not talking about what an autonomous cell or formation is and is not doing. We're talking about doing that in an organization that is not autonomous and how that is unprincipled, but also disrupts the process of the organization. If you want to have an autonomous cell, go ahead and have an autonomous cell, but don't do it in an organization that is not autonomous. That was the clarity that she was making. Also, I think a lot of things to be said. I mean, we can go because I think that even based on the chat, it's becoming more antagonistic than it needs to be, because folks folks are in organizations where they can raise these questions if they feel away. That's one. So I prefer that, but I just think that when we talk about what is and isn't being taught, we also have to talk about what is and isn't being received, because there are people who are saying the exact same thing to folks every single day, and how you receive what's said and how you process that's the result of what you're seeing and taking in, right? So whether or not you believe people are teaching, because to Kamal's point, that all looks different. We could sit right here and go through the list of the do's and don'ts of how you organize, or you can go outside and figure that out, right? Because that is the experiment. You have 1,000 flyers in your hand, 500 people we can take it from you and throw it in the trash in the corner. Or you got 300 people saying, girl, go. You don't see me, my kid? Like, that's it. But you're standing there needing to get those 1,000 flyers out, because maybe from that 1,000, you get 100 to show up to your program. Maybe. And if you do it every single day, that yields results. Because what is the sense of having all of these programs and nobody showing up? Why do we continue to have 50,000 Black August events and we are taking no risk? We are not going outside, but we are commemorating the people that did. So like that is the message here about what the fight back needs to actually look like, because we have to be serious. Not just about our liberation, but we know what the conditions are on the outside. And we know we are ill prepared. We are ill prepared. And folks are joining organizations and not organizing. So, I mean, that's really where it is. So if you are in an organization, you are being encouraged to do these things. And we're telling you the better way to do it. We're saying, don't do that, do this instead. Because we've seen that this worked. Rafiki talks about this all the time. How many universities have already won the ROTC struggle? And ROTC is back, right?
Right.
Yeah.
A whole new way to get rid of them, or you investigate and you study. Black Oliver and I talked about that. We don't even think about 2014 anymore, and we lived it. And there's no way that we even go back there and say, well, what were the things that worked and what are the things that didn't work? Because if we study 2014, we could see just how we got to 2020 and how that all fell apart and why. And if we did that, we could see why we're where we are now. Yep. But there has to be some investigation on the movements that we are actively a part of. And instead, people are just moving on to the next thing. And then the next shiny radical thing that flashes by, that's where they're at. So we'll get the ALD programs now. Because now everybody celebrates African Liberation Day.
So there's a group in Atlanta called the People's Campaign. We had them on last week, and they've been pushing the idea of people's assemblies. And they actually hired folks to go out and canvass, right? And their goal was to reach 500 people to come to the assembly. Now, the assembly is this Saturday. And it could be, this is the question becomes, what do you do when you get it? But already, when people show up, I should say, but already because of their canvassing efforts, right? Not online efforts, but their canvassing efforts, they've already reached over 850 people who've signed up to come to the assembly, right? So it's like that kind of mass attack and action where people were been out in the streets, canvassing, knocking on doors, walking by restaurants, or going to busy areas where people are walking by to try to get people to come to these assemblies. This assembly has shown folks, right? What does mass action produce? It can produce the possibilities of you getting everyday people in a room or outside together to be in conversation, to hear about the struggle around not only the past struggle around Cop City, but what is the future struggle, let's say, in a place like Atlanta is going to be. And they've done this, through their own efforts of, like, again, canvassing, getting people out in the streets, not focusing exclusively on online efforts, but really making sure that a multitude of different organizations and organizers are out there with them, but focusing really hard on canvassing people who are not overtly politicized. Obviously, the politicized folks like us are going to show up, but that is not. Unfortunately, There are not 900 people in any organization in Atlanta that is a radical organization. So that is a way of showing the possibilities of people power, just the beginning thread of it. But to start that way, as opposed to, we're not going to do that kind of work. Instead, we're just going to do a social media blitz. Shows you what the difference can be when you actually get out into the streets.
Yeah, Baltimore had that petition online for 2 weeks. They got maybe 80 signatures. They took their ass outside last week. They already breached over 200, and they only did that for 1 day. But I say that to say that I think there is a way, because you have 3,000 followers on Instagram, that somehow concludes, like, even on that petition, you could see 17,000 people viewed our petition, and we still only got 50 people to sign up in Baltimore through an Instagram. Right. So I think there's a way that we confuse optics with the what's actually happening. Right. Because it's a good look to have 50,000 people there. Right. It's a good look when you look at your page. There's all these people following the work that you're doing. But if that is a disconnect and you go outside, if we go on Greenmount and nobody knows who the hell we are, that's a problem. Because we should be known nationally and nobody knows us locally, right? Nobody knows us on the blocks that we say we care about, the blocks that we live in. Our neighbors don't even know we organize. We don't. Our neighbors are not even aware, that we go into the city council hearing, because we're not even the neighbors.
Yeah,
we need to be here because we don't talk to our neighbors, because we created a community, right? So we don't know who our neighbors are. But I think that there's mechanisms of this organizing thing that I think we are at the point where so much of it is pettiness, earnestly. None of these are like, for me, I don't think these are like validated contradictions that can't be struggled and smashed and resolved, right? I do feel that people take on their siloed interests, a product of 2014, product of 2020, because there's money there, there's a base there, and they can move that. And only that, once they're asked to do to pivot or readjust, especially given the conditions in the climate, that's where the struggle is. We are not in a point where we have organizations prepared to pivot outside of the way they have normalized organizing.
Yep. Yeah, and a big part of that also is just we're getting so many people from the nonprofit world thinking that, oh, well, this is how you organize, right? Like, it's based around deliverables, which deliverables are good. You do need measurable outcomes, right? But very much towards what's going to get more funding versus what's actually good for the community. What do the people actually even want, right? And I think there's a lot of counterinsurgency that happens from folks that, and you might not even realize it, right? You're just so used to that kind of work that you just assume that it's the same thing. But, then there's issues around struggle. People don't like to struggle and defend their positions at all. Like, it's wild to me how people, take criticism personally. And I'm like, this is a political struggle. Like, I might have, I'm from Jersey and Barrio Saltos, like I might have a bit of an attitude about it, but like, I'm not coming at you personally.
Right.
I'm not coming at you personally. This is a political struggle. If you're not going outside, what are you doing?
Yep. Yeah. And it's like, nobody is trying to crush your dreams or sideline you or invalidate you as a person, an organizer, an African, or no, it's just, listen, grow up.
Literally.
If you go to work, if you have a job, somebody is telling you what to do. If you cannot take instruction on how you should have teach-ins, on how you should have internal study sessions, on how to canvas, if you can't take direction on how you should do those things, I don't know how you survive in the real world. I don't.
How are you not crying all day long? Like, B, you live in New York. How's that? Like, are you not getting your ass kicked all the time? I'm sorry, but like, what's going on?
I don't know, but
great show, y'all. Man, I was thinking about my canvassing days. Huh?
She was back there asleep.
Box.
Nah. I'm here. I was thinking about my canvassing days back in college. It was a great thing. We used to have parties and stuff. We used to canvass.
Picture it, 1991.
Like,
Who's that? Who that? Is that you? That's you, Trisha?
no, I ran into one of my homegirls and she was running around. They got a Method Man coming, so they was passing out the flyers, and I was just thinking about, damn, remember when I used to pass out flyers
Put
and
that
stuff?
picture back up.
Nah, whoa.
Yeah.
This show is PG here. Anyway,
Wow.
yo, great show today. A lot of information dropped and a lot of talk about organizing. So I hope y'all out there in the chat room and out there listening, are y'all getting y'all organizing on and working with somebody doing some stuff for the people. What we got coming up on Darker Than Blue this Friday?
Well, Darker Than Blue will be on Friday, and I think I'll be live. But I want to point out, I don't know what I'm talking about either. But it'll be live and it'll be there. But tomorrow I will not be here because I will be in New York City, speaking at the Taxpayers Against Genocide Protest for Justice rally to support international legal complaint against the U.S. government for their complicity in the genocide. That's tomorrow at Foley Square in New York City, 60 Center Street, New York, New York. Please come out. 11. Press conference and rally at noon. March at 1:00. That's where I'll be tomorrow. And Darker Than Blue will be on the air Friday at 5:00. But I don't know what I'm talking about yet. But see you there.
All right. Well,
I was gonna say, can I get my microphone to be on the ground reporter for that day?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Let's organize that. Let's organize your own.
Send me the funds, Kamal.
Oh boy, this is just like Kamal Banklin over there.
Ready.
Ready. God. Oh boy. All right, and make sure y'all tune back in here tomorrow.
I ain't got nothing to do. My God.
Isn't that bad? Didn't Jackie just talk about what y'all about to do?
No, I talked about what I am about to do. I talking about.
All right, we got
going on.
It's past 10 o'clock right now.
Don't nobody know how that works.
Past 10 o'clock. Let's wrap it up. What we got coming up?
Nobody know how that works.
All right, Erica.
Well, tonight, if you go to the Caribbean Pan-African channel on YouTube, you can catch some of the members of the Jonah Peace Campaign talking about the conversation war drugs or what is it, a coup? I forget the title. But there's going to be a lot of grassroots movements from Trinidad and Tobago talking about the incident. So if you want more that on the ground kind of insight, that's happening tonight.
All right. Kamal, I'll see you tomorrow on the remix. And also make sure y'all tune in tomorrow for Classical Breakdown. We'll be doing Curtis Mayfield. So make sure y'all tune in for that one. All right. And we're out of here, I believe, right? Any more announcements? No? Good. All right. See y'all tomorrow at the Remix Morning Show.
He's very undemocratic, that one.
I am everyday people.